Hold on. I got you. You're gonna be all right. You're not gonna die.
It's been 18 years since this came out, so we can say it, right? Spoiler alert, she died. She died.
Oh, man. Who's going to tell Micah Rooker? Rooker, what do you think? Oh, man. 18 years later, he's still hung up about it. He's still upset. He can't get over it.
If you haven't seen this, sorry, but not. If you're listening to this, you know what you're getting into.
I'm pretty sure it was in the trailer. It's fine.
Welcome back. This is episode 80 of the Last Row podcast. 80. You said it last time. This show's too young to only have 80 episodes. If you're looking for a back catalog, theLastRowPodcast.com. Follow us on Twitter at TheLastRowPod, Facebook.com/TheLastRowPod. Hit the like button. Subscribe on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. If you haven't had a chance, give us a 5-star review on Podchaser, Apple Podcasts. Thanks to everybody that left one. What's up, man? I'm glad to be back.
Drew, do you still post our episodes on Facebook?
I do.
Because I didn't even know that existed anymore.
Yeah,
is
I do.
That a thing?
We don't get
any interactions on Facebook.
If you're on Facebook, make my half hour of posting efforts worth it. Please leave me a comment this week. Just go and leave me a comment. Just let us know you like it.
If any of you listen to our content via Facebook, please Facebook us and let us know that you do so, just so we know, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I know a lot of people are getting rid of their Facebook. I'll leave it up if people are going to use it. So
yeah, I have nothing against it. It's just that we get so little interaction on it. I just didn't know.
And even Twitter. Tweet us this week. Hit us up on Twitter at The Last Row Pod. It'd be good to hear from you guys.
Plot synopsis for Cliffhanger, Drew. We're doing Cliffhanger, 1993.
It's about time.
18-year anniversary, Drew. Was released Memorial Day, 1993. Directed by a man called Rennie Harlan. Maybe you heard of him, Drew?
I got some thoughts on this guy.
He
Die Hard 2 theme, right?
Do you know he directed? Die Hard 2, exactly. It's an action-adventure movie, IMDb 6.4 out of 10.
Too low.
69% Rotten Tomato.
Too low.
Yeah, too low, but nice. Metacritic, 60%.
Way too low.
Outdoor thriller in which a former mountain rescuer is pitted against a group of criminals who have lost their $100 million stash during a plane crash in the Rocky Mountains. After being persuaded to help rescue a group of stranded hikers, he discovers that they are in fact a gang of violent robbers who need help to locate their missing loot.
Robbers, to me, makes them sound like the Wet Bandits.
Yeah.
It's like they're Home Alone.
Did someone from the 30s write the synopsis, Drew? Robbers and loot? Those are like 30s terms to me.
These guys were more than robbers. Well, some of them were pretty bad, but...
They're murderers.
Yeah.
You can say it. They're murderers.
They're murderers, robbers, and looters.
Looters, possible rapists. We don't know.
Potentially. Terrorists is really what it should have said. Terrorists.
Yeah.
But...
Good synopsis, but they failed to they just glossed over the whole dramatic element of, losing a loved one and grudges and
no mention of long lost friendships.
Yeah.
Possibly marriages.
They just glossed all over that tidbit. Kind of made the movie work.
You know what though? This movie, I have a tidbit for you.
Yeah.
This movie was based on a premise.
Yeah. As opposed to other movies.
Did you know that? So when I looked up all the credits on this, and it was actually very interesting. The way that they credited the writers, I think this guy's a climber himself. His name's John Long. It said he was credited for the premise of the movie. Isn't every movie based on a premise?
Every movie is based on a premise. Do you get paid for said premise is the question.
That's what I mean. And then there's a guy named Michael France who's actually credited with the screen story.
You mean the actual writer?
The writer.
You mean the writer of the movie.
Well, this guy
John Long snuck himself into.
And he got first billing. It's let me have a movie about rock climbing. That's a premise. Put me on.
What if they're climbing a rock and there's money scattered everywhere and there's bad guys? Oh, and the other friend's friend died.
Yeah. that's how it came across to me. I mean, it's just kind of weak. But a couple of taglines here that are interesting. Tell me your rating here. Mm-hmm. Number 1, an avalanche of thrills.
Too playful. This movie's serious. Come on. Too playful.
I like this one. Hang on.
Okay. I mean, it's simple, but I'll allow it.
You got to chalk up your hands,
Yeah.
like at the chalk.
Yeah.
And then the last one, The Height of Adventure.
Eh.
I'm going
Hang
Hang
on.
On.
We're going Hang On.
Hang On's
Yeah.
the best one.
Yeah. By far.
Financials, $70 million.
That's
Box office return.
It's a
84.
lot.
It is a lot. And
Where do they spend the money besides the trip to Italy?
well, I can give you one specific one. They paid at least $1 million to the stunt coordinator or the stunt man who crossed between the planes. Like the guy got paid $1 million because it was an illegal stunt in Europe where they filmed the movie. So they had to film it in the US. The insurance company refused to insure the stuntman for this. So Sylvester Stallone offered to reduce his own fee for the movie so that the stunt could be produced.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy?
That's pretty awesome.
I mean, the movie was kind of nothing without that stunt. It was kind of the bulk
But
of
I'm trying to think, like,
thing.
where'd the rest of the 69 million go? Like, there's a lot of explosions, a lot
Costs
of gunfire,
man.
a lot of green screen.
Helicopter fuel.
Yeah. Like,
You got to
maybe
fuel up
just
those
the
helicopters.
The sweeping shots. Yeah. They got
This
the guy
is before
from,
drones. They
Yeah.
didn't have like the little like DJ Mavic, whatever those
No.
things are, right? It's
No.
it's interesting. But I don't know. What do you think? Do you think it made enough to justify? I think it 225 worldwide.
Oh, for
but
sure. People love
84
Stallone overseas. They love him.
I mean, this was 93. It was what was he doing at that time? Like it was kind
Dude,
of hot, right?
I'm glad you brought that up. I was going to bring up Stallone's career, and he needed a hitman, like real bad. Not a
Like,
hitman.
was it
a
bad?
Hit, comma man.
Needed a hitman.
Because
Maybe he needed a hitman too.
he was done with the Rockies. Rocky 5, Tango and Cash and Rocky and 5 were in 89 and 90. And Rocky 5 wasn't great, but it was still a Rocky movie. It's safe. It's whatever. And then he started doing these weird comedies. Oscar, who you probably don't even know what that movie is.
This is like Benji.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah.
Entourage here doing
Yeah.
Benji.
And then he did Stop or My Mom Will Shoot.
I don't even know that one.
So yeah, well, it's like a really, it's like it's like a buddy cop comedy with him and his mother.
Is it his actual mom in the movie too?
No, it's just terrible. It's a terrible, not fun. It's a not funny comedy. But if you count Rocky as a bad movie, which I do, 1990, he went 3 years with 3 straight duds. So he needed a win, and he got it in Cliffhanger, I think, 1993, and then he followed up with Demolition Man, which off to the moon.
Was that 94 or 95?
They're both billed 93.
93.
So
I can't remember. I knew we did that one. I forgot what episode it is. Go to thelastropodcast.com and type it in.
Yeah.
Shameless plug there. But I thought it was interesting with this movie in general because I saw that he had a fear of heights. So he picked this movie. I mean, he's climbing essentially the mountains in Italy because they didn't do it in the Rockies.
Yeah.
But I thought it was interesting because he had this stunt guys climbing for him most of the time, and that was at least in the trivia. The other thing is you said he was looking for a hit. He needed a hit. I also saw something else. TriStar Pictures, they were trying to do a sequel, and they were going to call it like The Dam.
The Dam.
And it was described as, at the time everything was doing this, Die Hard in a Dam.
Die Hard, whatever. Die Hard this, Die Hard that, yeah.
Yeah, basically it would have had Stallone's character fighting terrorists who took over the Hoover Dam, and it never went past developmental.
But would it be Gabe Walker, like the same
That's
character?
what I don't understand, because they said that TriStar and the production studio that did this was looking for a, quote, sequel. So to me, that would mean that it was
Sequel's
Gabe
a
Walker.
sequel.
But what the hell is Gabe Walker doing at the Hoover Dam? And apparently Stallone tried to resurrect the project in 2008, but they just never had anything, succeed with it.
I mean, is there a more intense climb than climbing the Hoover Dam?
I guess
there's not a lot of footholds there, Drew.
It's completely smooth.
It's an expert climb.
He needs those the spikes.
Yeah.
He needs the spikes.
Yeah, Drew. Did you also know that there is or was a reboot in the making here for this movie?
This is the movie that I think hasn't been remade, that I think I'm surprised hasn't, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I don't know, but it's like a less famous. It's a famous Stallone movie, but it's less famous. Like, for example, like they did Point Break.
Well, that's what I mean.
To do Roadhouse, stuff like that.
Right.
But like,
by the way, whatever happened with Roadhouse? They never did that, did they?
Yeah, it never happened.
Rousey
Yeah.
fizzled out there.
Yeah, fizzled out. And I think this might go the case. So I read that there was a plans for a female-fronted cliffhanger, not full frontal female, but female-fronted cliffhanger.
Damn. Imagine that.
And Jason Momoa was attached to it, and it was in pre-production in 2019, but really nothing else on the internet is describing anything about it. So maybe it's halted, or maybe the pandemic got this one, or I don't know.
Maybe they're trying to get it made and they just can't.
Yeah,
but
they had a director attached. It was no one that I knew of, and they had Momoa attached. But yeah,
I don't know.
Would you be into it? Like,
yeah, I like the premise of this, but you know what?
Yeah.
In full disclosure, I didn't watch the remake of Point Break, even though I heard it was decent. Like it was entertaining.
I didn't watch it either. I don't know.
I'd be fine with it. Whatever. It
wasn't I'm cool. I might not watch it, but like I'm cool with them making it. No problem here. I'm
this
good
is
with
one
Momoa.
that I don't think they're not remaking it. It's a classic, but not a classic in the sense that it's like okay, just make a movie about mountain climbing. So, but let's jump into the movie. This movie has a couple parts. I think we can break it down in a couple different sections. But
the movie has a couple parts.
It has a couple parts, just like it has a premise.
Just like it has a premise.
The premise of this movie.
Not all movies have a couple parts, Drew. That's why I just wanted to.
This one definitely has a couple parts, but the biggest one, as you heard in the beginning, it basically is the impetus for the whole thing, the accident and the fallout of that accident.
True.
So it introduces us to Gabe Walker, who's played by Sylvester Stallone, and Hal Tucker, which Hal. It's a good name, Hal Tucker, who's played by Michael Rooker.
What's Hal short for?
Halvin.
Halvin.
It's probably something very easy, and it's just like 2 a.m. right now, so I can't.
Halvin and the Chipmunks.
Halvin,
or is it just Hal? I mean, I don't know why I think short names must be short for something.
I'm going Halbert. That's I'm going to Halbert.
Just like your name is Drew, but it's like, oh, Drew is short for Andrew, and you're like, no, it's not freaking short for
mine.
Andrew.
It's not mine.
Maybe I'm that jerk that's assuming that Hal is just short for something.
These two guys. It seemed like, so are they friends or are they work partners or are they work friends? Are they personal friends that work together? Were they where did they become friends?
Well,
what do you think about their relationship?
First and foremost, they're rock climbers. So I like to think that all, hardcore rock climbers are kind of buddied together somehow.
It's a community, man.
Like you saw how when, so Gabe's been gone for like 8 months after this tragic accident. And when he comes back, he's on the road and those two like surfer dudes, stoner dudes drive up next to him and like, hey, Gabe's back in town. So it's like, they know each other, you know?
It's a kinship, man.
And otherwise, Gabe and those two dudes would have nothing in common. Like that there couldn't be more different people, but they have that bond of rock climbing and base jumping, that kind of thing. So leads me to believe that if they're both rock climbers and they both have similar personalities, which they seem to have, then they're probably best friends, even though they don't explicitly say that.
I got the impression that they had been friends from work, but so they work at this rescue place, right?
Yeah, they're more. I feel like they're more than just work friends, but maybe work introduced them, and then they became
they took it to the next level.
Yeah,
they took it to the next level.
Friendship to the next level. Yeah.
Well, they've got this other girl who's climbing with Michael Rooker named Sarah.
Yeah, her name's Sarah.
And there's this weird 3-way relationship with them.
Not like that.
Or like that. We don't know. Or
maybe. I don't know.
So the premise of this movie is that, Michael Rooker's got a bum knee or whatever, and he's kind of up there. But why was he up there with this inexperienced climber? Yeah. He's on this tower, right? Explain this to me.
I have a theory about this, and it kind of like pokes holes in the emotional weight of the fall, Drew. So there's this girl, Sarah, and the sweeping shot shows the opening of the movie. There's Sarah, this inexperienced climber, and her boyfriend, Michael Rooker, just sitting there, Rooker with his leg out. We learn when Stallone goes up there to quote unquote rescue them, it's not so much a rescue because they're not really in danger so much as they just need a way out, right? Because dude has a bum knee. That this girl, Sarah, is like really good friends with Stallone's character, Gabe, right?
Yes.
So I'm wondering, how did Gabe hook the girl up with Rooker? Because if Stallone was good friends with both of them, how did they not meet previously?
That's the thing. It seemed like it was a set-up relationship or something, or maybe did Stallone date her before?
Yeah, but because it's not a weird thing, because Stallone has a girlfriend of his own who is the pilot of this plane that is coming to get them. But it's not explicit that they're married. Or are they just married without the official title, or what?
He looked like he had a wedding ring on when he came back, and it had like that blue topaz, like, or whatever it looked like the Western style, like Colorado style, like when he had the jacket and everything. It looked like he had a wedding ring on, but I know her last name's different, so maybe she didn't change her name. I got the impression that they were dating. I'm not sure.
It seemed like, a year's dating kind of thing, like the kind of thing where maybe they're even engaged for all we know.
Yeah.
Right.
She didn't seem associated at work, though. She seemed like somebody that was not a worker there, right? Because of her inexperience climbing.
Yeah, so the girl Sarah is sitting there, like, it seemed like the kind of thing, he brought her up there on a date to impress her, right?
Yeah.
Can we say that?
Describe
Probably.
This place, like describe the tower for me, because this thing is like...
This mountain is called the Tower. It's actually in Italy, but they're claiming it's in Colorado. In the movie world, it's Colorado, kayfabe only. So they're up there, and they're stranded, and they need to get out of there. Either A, because Rooker's knee is busted, or B, just because they're kind of like, they climbed up this thing, and there's nowhere to go. It's like impossible to get down.
It's the skinniest looking. Yeah. I don't even know how they got up there.
It kind of looks like the tower that you like scale in Mortal Kombat when you you go Shao Kahn standing at the top, Mortal Kombat 2. That's kind of what the tower looks like.
It does.
Me, right?
It does.
So in order to get off of this thing, they call in Stallone, and they call in the chopper that has Stallone's fiance, girlfriend, whatever, and of course everybody's favorite, old man Frank.
Gotta love Frank.
So they park this thing, I don't know, what do you say, Drew? 100 yards away?
Probably about that. It's probably about that.
They have to park the chopper on another mountain 100 yards away, because it's flat surface. They pull out this wire cable, and they're going to have everyone scoot across. Now, is that something that a novice climber should be doing, you think?
No, hell no.
That's a pretty risky move.
But I thought that, I didn't think the helicopter landed. I thought she was trying to keep it steady. So it was in the air, wasn't it?
It might have been in the air. I don't remember.
It was in the air, but
either way.
But even makes it even more dangerous.
Yeah.
So to your point, no, I don't think that they should have. And I thought that's the kind of thing that you could go together with somebody. Like, when they do rescue helicopter stuff, when they show the Coast Guard, they always have the Coast Guard guy hanging on the string. Yeah. And it's like, can't they just do that? Why couldn't they have flown the helicopter above the tower? Did I just break the movie?
That's exactly what I was going to suggest. Why couldn't they clamp people to the wire thing and zip them up? Yes. Yeah. Why did they have to do this stunt work?
Yeah.
They're making a civilian do stunt work, Drew.
Couldn't they? But couldn't they just have had Stallone hang out of the helicopter and grab her by the hands?
Yes, Drew.
Like, I don't understand it. It made, I swear I didn't know that you were going to say that.
But we're getting ahead of ourselves. We'll get to that later.
Yeah. The premise of our show, right? We've got a premise for that.
So Rooker's got the bum knee. He goes first, clamps himself to his harness to the thing, and he zips across over. It's horizontal. It's perpendicular. Now, sorry, we don't usually get into this much detail in one scene, but it's very important to the rest of the movie and to our show. Scoots across, no problem. So they go, all right, Sarah, you're next. Are you ready? And she's like, no, but I guess I have to, right? She's super nervous about it. You can tell that she's never been anywhere near a mountain before in her life. All right?
Again, why the hell was she on the cliff? Like, she shouldn't have been. How did she even get up there?
We'll get to that later. Right now, we got to get her from point A to point B.
It's going to be like a 5-hour episode here.
Yeah. So she starts, very gradually scooting across because she's freaking scared for her life. And Stallone's making jokes, and Rooker's over there making jokes on the other side he's in the chopper already. And what do you know it, Drew? The harness rips.
And describe how she's hanging here, right? Because it's like a zip line that you hang your butts in like a I don't even know how to say it. It's almost like cradled. Yeah, but she's hanging upside down, like parallel with the ground, but looking up to the sky. Mm-hmm. And she's got a hand over hand go backwards very slowly. And Rooker went over real quick. Yep.
And the buckle is just tantalizingly just hanging on the carabiner, ready to fall off, and she's going to plummet 4,000 feet toward death.
Cheap metal, man, that just bends.
Yep. It ripped right away. It was really cheap. It was almost looked like sabotage, Drew. Almost.
It was bad.
I'm not going to call it sabotage, but it almost looked it.
Man.
All right, so now she's hanging on on a thread. So what do you do, Drew? What do you do? Stallone's like, I got to go out there and get him. And Rooker says, no. This wire isn't rated for more than one person at a time. I'm going to send a new harness over, which doesn't make any sense. Does it make sense, Drew?
No, because how the hell is this inexperienced person going to even put the harness on?
No.
She couldn't even move. And I don't know, like, if I had to pick the way to go, I would have went Stallone's way because he's the one that's the rescue guy. He probably should have went with her to begin with. Yeah. I don't know how it's not weighted for that. Bring a different rope. If you're going to rescue somebody, they knew where they were going.
Yeah. Bring a more stable wire, Frank. Frickin' Frank.
Didn't they know where they were going? Like, shouldn't they have?
Yeah, they knew exactly the type of rescue mission they were going to. It might be Frank's fault.
Let me go back to the part about the Coast Guard. Because when you talk about the Coast Guard, don't they have that thing, you know, when they rescue people out of the ocean? It's almost like a coffin thing.
Yes.
It's like, you know, it's like a...
you strap them in and you fly them off.
It's a cage? Yeah. Where's that at? This rescue operation is like amateur
Suspect
over here.
Suspect at best. At best. You would almost assume foul play was involved, Drew. That's how horribly this was botched.
I'm going Stallone's way, though. I definitely think his way was the way.
It was the quicker, Drew. She was hanging. She was slipping. She was not going to make it.
He's lucky he got there to hold her hand.
Yeah.
To be honest.
Hold her hand. That was sweet. Hold her hand.
Sweet.
So Stallone zips on over there. No, I got to do it this way. And then Rooker's just yelling at him the whole time. Don't you drop her, man. Don't do this. Oh, it's a bad idea. He thinks it's the worst idea in the world, Rooker thinks. Yeah. Even though, like, she's screwed. There's no good ideas.
Yeah, she's
screwed. And did she die, Drew?
Yeah, as you heard, she went.
Ah! If she had a gun, she would have shot it up at the guy. she didn't.
The perfect Gone in 60 Seconds reference. Calitri over there.
Yeah. So,
it was bad.
So Stallone had her by the hand. The glove was slipping. She falls. Everyone's devastated. Rooker just melts into the ground. Stallone just looked her in the eyes as she was dying. It was a bad time all around.
I have a question for you. Shouldn't she have just gone first? Like, I don't know why they needed to, quote, like, sandwich her, whatever the hell they want to talk about. If they want to do that in the bedroom, that's fine. But out on a rescue rope?
Wow.
Like, what is going on there? Like,
but Drew, it wouldn't have mattered, though. Like, her harness was broken, so she would have fell anyway, right?
Yeah, but maybe the tension on the rope would have been a little different. I don't know.
And if Rooker wasn't there to help stabilize the wire on the other side, then Stallone definitely couldn't have gone.
Well, Frank's
after
too old and feeble to
be able to. I mean, we all love Frank, right? Frank, the lovable,
Poor
park
Frank,
ranger,
man.
but like he should probably be retired at this point.
He just has to co-pilot. That's all. He didn't know he had to stabilize a rope there. Like I don't know. I think she should have gone first, and maybe her harness would have went down.
I don't think it mattered. But regardless, I think the actress her name's Michelle Joyner.
She did a good job.
She did a great job of like me believing that she was really in danger. Like I have to say that before we move on.
She did better than Michael Rooker.
It gave the scene more gravitas, especially since Rooker was just so terrible. Wasn't he terrible, Drew?
Yeah, I mean, he was bad.
Like I got nothing against the guy. Like he was fine, but like emotionally, not the greatest.
If you had to establish blame for this, who do you blame?
Yeah.
Like,
so
who do you think the blame falls on?
We got to rank them, right? So there's four actors, or four, I should say, I don't know, best way to call them is suspects, right?
Yeah.
Who is more to blame? We got Walker, who's Stallone. We have Jesse, the pilot. We have frickin' Frank, the old man co-pilot, should be retired. And we have Michael Rooker, Hal Tucker, the boyfriend. So I'm thinking most to blame. It's got to be Frank.
You're going old man Frank
for the crappy plan and the faulty equipment, Drew.
Yeah, but what if it was Stallone's plan too? Like I don't know. Could
have been Stallone's plan, but he shouldn't be out there. He botched it.
You could blame Jesse for not flying above and say, hey, you know what? I could fly this helicopter higher.
Yeah, I don't know who. The thing is, though, I don't know. Maybe Jesse is in control of that situation, and Frank's like. I don't know, but maybe Frank was supposed to bring the wire, and he didn't bring the wire that was heavy enough. I don't know.
I'm saying Stallone has the least blame because he tried to help.
He was the most heroic. Yeah, everyone else kind of froze.
You could argue that. I mean, he is directly to blame because he did drop her. I mean,
well, according to Michael Rooker's character, yeah, which is a big part of the movie.
According to the premise of this movie, I mean, he did kind of drop her.
I'm still saying Frank's most to blame because he He probably didn't do the safety check on that harness, Drew.
No.
It had a small tear in it.
I know there's blame that falls squarely on one person's shoulders, and I've got it. It's Hal. He shouldn't have brought her up there to begin with.
Okay, that maybe you're right. It's
That's
definitely
it.
Hal. He shouldn't have brought her up there, which is exactly the right answer.
There shouldn't have
There's
even
no
been
reason.
a rescue scenario. It's like, why are they even there? If she didn't know how to do that maneuver there, there's no way in hell she would have even been skilled enough to get up that mountain. It doesn't make any sense. There's no way they would have been able to climb that
There's
mountain.
no way she would have been able to climb, but let's assume that he got her up there. Like,
unless he had her in like the backpack, like Yoda, you know, like
right?
like in Star Wars.
Yeah,
she's like
or
in
like
his
a
backpack,
like a baby Bjorn or something, where she's just dangling, right?
He's like, imagine how Jack you'd have to be to carry somebody up there,
just dangling off his back. I tell you what, Stallone in this movie, maybe see his buys and tries, man.
Yeah.
Holy shit!
Let's talk about the fallout of this, because clearly Hal, played by Michael Rooker, blames Stallone for this situation.
Big time.
And it fractures Stallone and Jesse's relationship, who's the pilot of the plane.
Yeah.
And he leaves for 8+ months. He shows up back out,
So,
right?
To be clear, Jesse didn't blame him for it at all.
Correct.
It fractured the relationship because Stallone just pieced out.
He blamed
He's gone.
himself.
He
process
left
it.
Colorado. He's like, I can't do this anymore.
Yeah. And he wanted to bring her back. He was trying to go to the city instead of living out in the sticks.
Yeah.
And he wanted to bring Jesse with him and say, we got to get out of here. Like, he mentally was dealing with obviously the PTSD of losing a close friend. The fact that he blamed himself. He thought he literally did drop her.
Yeah, he did.
And he knew that Hal hated him too. He was his good
I don't
friend. I mean, it's pretty intense here, right?
Let's break this down in two ways. Number one, Drew, let me ask you this. Now, maybe this is hard to answer, but let's say you, me, and your wife, the last wife, were out there rock climbing, right? The first wife. Hopefully last.
No comment.
Let's say I, she was in danger and like last ditched effort, I grabbed her hand to save her from falling off, and I couldn't get the job done. I tried all I could.
So was she?
I don't think
with
we'd
me?
be friends anymore. I feel like it'd be hard for you to look me in the eye.
I'll be honest.
Whether it's my fault or not.
More than likely, she'd be the one that's climbing.
True.
And I'd be in her backpack.
True. She's
a much more skilled climber than me, and I'd be in her backpack. Maybe you'd let me. Maybe you would have to rescue me, and then I would die. Would she blame you?
Well, two questions. All right. Well, two questions. Yeah. Let me ask this. Okay. So let's say she's holding me, right?
Yeah.
And then she drops me.
Oh man.
Does that affect the marriage?
Well, I mean, we can't podcast anymore, so that's clearly a problem.
Wrong answer. The answer is no. Because she's going to listen to this episode. The answer is no. It would not affect your marriage. Don't let my death affect your marriage, okay?
It would not. I would miss you.
Yeah.
I would miss you.
Now, if you were the one that were dropped and I dropped you, then obviously she would never talk to me again.
Well,
yeah,
you never know.
But if she dropped you, and then I would have to obviously marry your wife and make sure the family's okay.
It's just
no funny business and no funny business.
It's the code of the law, right?
It's no funny business. I'm not gonna have separate bedrooms.
You got to take care of my daughter somehow, right?
Just gonna take care of the household.
Somebody's got to help out. You know what I mean? It's like, but that's like unwritten law, like for these friendships, right? It's like, oh, if one of us dies, one has to take care of the family.
If anything happens to you,
take care of my family. It's like, imagine that.
And honestly, and also, like just like in the other scenario, if something happened to you, Drew, she would have to take care of me. Like, it's not. I would not have to take care of her. She would have to take care of me.
I mean, was the judge? The judge, was the grudge justified for this guy, Tucker? Do you think? What's your thoughts?
See, it's different thing between a grudge and like just not being able to look the guy in the eye anymore. Like,
I mean, he almost
the relationship
pushed him
could
off a cliff.
Change, right? Like he was ready to throw the guy off the cliff. Now, do you think he was ready to throw the guy off the cliff because he was mad that he dropped her? He was mad that he did it his way instead of Rooker's way? Or was he, I don't know, was he mad that he left?
I think
he
he was
didn't grieve
mad
with him.
Yeah, that's my theory.
Yeah.
I think it was the combination of the fact that it happened and then he left.
Okay.
And he didn't grieve with him because,
fair.
like we said, right, it was that three-way friendship there.
Do you think he went to the funeral? I mean, there's no body.
Maybe it's.
There
was a body.
ceremonial funeral. Do you think
looked
Stallone
like-
went to the funeral, or do you think he just ghosted?
I mean, it looked like a rag doll that fell. It was clearly like one of those fake bodies that they throw out of a window.
All right.
But I think maybe he didn't. Maybe he just left. He couldn't process it, and maybe that's what happened.
Okay.
Like to me, I think that's part of the grudge. Like the fact that he let it happen and then he left. They couldn't process it together. But this is the big thing of the movie, right? And this is kind of the premise of what is underlying. And I know we spent a lot of time on this, but this is the hugest. Essentially the hugest part of the movie besides the heist itself.
And I'm still not done. I'm still not done here myself. So before we go to the heist, I have two more very important questions for you. Right. I got to jump back to Stallone and Jesse's relationship, right? One question I have for you in this, and maybe this could, you could draw on your experience because you've been engaged and now married, and I've never been engaged or married. So would it have been worse? We don't know if Stallone and Jesse are married or if they're fiancéed or if they're just boyfriend, girlfriend. Who live together. Clearly, they live together based on the scene in the movie, right?
Mm-hmm.
Would it have been worse for Stallone to just leave for 8 months if they were in a relationship or if they were actually married?
Oh, if they were married.
No.
Because, like...
Okay, go ahead.
Well, go ahead. No, you go ahead. Tell me what you're going to say.
Here's my rationale is if they were just in a boyfriend-girlfriend dating relationship, even if it was a couple years, right? If you leave for 8 months without a contact, that's like the end of the relationship.
Right.
So it's over, right?
Right.
But if you're married and you leave out of some crazy, emotional breakdown, you're still married by law. So there's more to reconcile. It's more important to reconcile.
There is, but this is 93. What, like cell phones don't really, I mean, they don't exist widely.
No.
Zach Morris had one, but clearly, Gabe Walker didn't have one.
Mm.
There's a payphone.
There's a payphone.
Did he call her? Did he call
her and hang up before
was it
when she
zero
answered?
Contact? Like that that plays into the question, like when he was away, was he away?
I think he called the house, and when she answered, he hung up. He did that move. He did that move.
He listened to her going like, hello?
Yeah.
Hello? God damn it,
Who is
answer
this?
me.
Stop calling me.
Yeah.
Who
and
is
he's
this?
just listening to her talk.
Yeah.
I mean, that
he didn't have the nerve to say a word.
Because if he left and never said a word, then that's grounds.
So
for
it's worse because
goodbye.
you're married person, you're supposed to share everything with them, blah, blah, blah.
I mean,
blah,
how
blah,
do
blah,
you
blah.
just, I mean, if you and me, let's say I left for 8 months and I didn't talk to you again, what would happen? It'd be weird,
What's
right?
up, man? What's up? And my question while we wrap this up with Tucker's grudge and was it justified? I have I don't know, this may be an insensitive question.
All right.
But I'm just going to ask
going.
it, and I hope I don't offend people out there. How long does it take to be in a relationship, like time-wise, for a death like this to be so devastating to hold a grudge against your best friend? Because clearly they were just kind of dating and not, they weren't engaged. So was Hal more upset for how young of a relationship? Obviously Girl died is tragic.
Like
no,
we had
no
so
way
much more
around
to
it.
experience.
Yeah.
Like that kind of thing. Like it could have been a great relationship.
Couldn't he not hold it so much
Couldn't you
against
just get
Stallone?
over it?
Yeah. A tragedy. It's tragic. The girl died. She fell 4,000. She's dead. She died. She's dead. Terrible tragedy. But come on. Obviously, he's doing this. He brought her up there to impress her, which means they weren't dating very long.
I don't think it's that insensitive of a question because to your point, you were going to say it. Stallone was the one that should have been devastated because not only did he drop her, he knew her longer.
He knew her longer than Hal did.
Come on now, Hal. Get with it.
And then when Stallone shows back up and they're doing the rescue mission, Hal, Stallone has to tell him, "Hey, we all lost something that day up there on that mountain. We all lost something."
Yeah.
Hal is being insensitive to the fact that Sarah was one of his best friends.
I agree. I don't think that Rooker had it.
No, I don't like this grudge one bit. Not one bit.
I agree.
And I've seen this movie. This is one of the first R-rated movies I've ever seen, Drew. And even my, immature mind back then when I was, 12, 11, 10 years old, I always hated Michael Rooker's character in this movie. And he's a good guy, once the heist thing starts going on, but totally unjustified laying this on his best friend like that.
I mean, he knew her well enough to call her baby, don't drop it,
baby, no, Sarah,
baby, no.
Instead of Michael Rooker, should they have taken Kyle Reese from Terminator because he's so good at yelling, "Sir!"
In 93, I guess. What was he doing in 93? Michael Biehn. What was Michael Biehn doing?
It was
Navy
like
SEALs?
9 years after Terminator. I don't know.
It was like Navy SEALs, I guess, at the time with like Charlie Sheen.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I think you're right. But the other part of this movie that we should get to.
Oh, this movie has more than one part.
Yeah, we talked about a couple parts. This is the other of the couple parts. John Lithgow and this heist. Basically the rest of the movie. We talked about the first 10 minutes of the movie.
There is no ending. It's just the beginning and then a long middle.
Yeah, we talked about there literally is no ending. It just ends.
Hashtag we'll get at that later.
Yeah, we'll get to that later. But the other part of this is the heist. So I have one question for you, right? So this movie really centers around John Lithgow and John Lithgow, whatever you want to say, Harry from Harry and the Hendersons.
Yeah. Harry. Third Rock from the Sun, the dad from Third
Mr.
Rock.
Henderson, not Harry. Third Rock from the Sun. John Lithgow. He's this international terrorist or robber, as we heard from the synopsis. He's an international robber.
It's a robber.
And he's trying to pull off this heist in partnership with some U.S. Treasury guy named Travers. So they pull off this weird heist.
Such a cop, by the way. Bald, bushy mustache.
He
such
had
a cop.
The cue ball horseshoe hairstyle with the mustache.
Yep. Such a cop.
Let me ask you about this heist, and I'll set it up for the listeners. So the way that this worked was Travers is this U.S. Treasury agent that goes across country and like flies and escorts non-denominational type bills, where basically they're $1,000 bills that they use to make large cash exchanges because they can't use smaller because they're too big, right? So they take it on this like secret secure plane, and this guy basically, sits with the money and they take it from point A to point B. And this guy, we get the impression that he's done this a lot of times because they said, I sent my best agent. This guy's never missed a flight. He's never lost any cases, whatever, right? I think I said non-denominational. They're uncirculated bills.
Uncirculated.
So the other thing too is and I'm going to say this, like if these are uncirculated bills, they even made a point to say, these are uncirculated. I'm not worried about it. If they get lost, then nobody has the means to exchange these. And they say, but Quaylen has the means to exchange it.
He's got his in. Like, he's got an in. He knows a guy.
And I know we're going to talk about this in the villain scale when we talk about the plan itself, but just doesn't this whole heist seem unnecessarily complicated?
My God, it's so complicated, Drew. It's the only thing I wrote about the heist in my notes while watching this movie was, is all of this necessary?
I mean, and for only $100 million, I know that's a lot of money in 93, but it just seems so...
There was so much danger in like faking a plane crash and the
tying a cable across two planes.
Tying the cable across two planes, and the dirty cop waiting until the absolute last possible second to reveal his badness to the good guy cops that were in the plane with him that almost arrested him.
Yeah. And they give you the fake out too, by the way. They make you think that the FBI guy's the dirty cop.
Yeah.
Where he's looking outside, he sees the window, he sees the other plane tailing them and everything. Like I don't know. I don't understand this whole thing, and I think it's probably the excuse to do the cool stunt. And obviously it was pretty sweet and it was awesome to watch.
Yeah.
But I want to talk to you about Travers just in general. Like, what's his plan after this thing? Because this guy is clearly a U.S. government agent. How's he going to get away with uncirculated bills that this guy Quaylen, who damn well you can't trust this guy, he's the only one that has the means to exchange the bills. Yeah. So what is this guy going to do? Is he going to Mexico? Like, what's his plan?
There's a thought. Here's what's in Travers' head. It's Travers, Hawaiian shirt, straw hat, sunglasses, lotion on the nose.
Yeah.
Ready at an outdoor cafe, ready to accept John Lithgow. What's his name? Quaalude?
Quaylen. Eric Quaylen.
He sees Quaylen in the distance with a large briefcase. God, there's my guy. He's going to pay me all the clean bills, and I'm going to be made in the shade.
Mm-hmm.
That's in his head. Is that a reality, Drew?
No, this guy.
No. His
Quaylen's
reality
going to kill this guy the second he gets the money.
His reality is thrown off of a mountain. That's his reality.
Yeah. I mean, how long do you think this guy was planning this? Because they made the impression, this guy has done this hundreds of times. He's done this this trip? Did he finally just get fed up with his job? Or was he like, man, this sucks. I hate this job. I'm carrying all this money. I don't get to take any for myself.
It's the
what's
guy,
his motivation?
man. He's been doing it the right way for 20 years. And you know what cops do when they do it for 20 years? They bust their humps. That's what they call it. I've been busting my hump for 20 years. Too old for this shit. What has the Bureau ever done for me? I need a way out.
And he works for like the Department of Treasury too, so he's not even in like the FBI or anything.
So boring. So boring.
He's just flying.
He's just
cash.
crunching numbers, flying cash, busting humps, and he's sick of this shit. And he's ready for his permanent vacation, not death.
He even seems just totally disgusted by Quaylen and his crew the whole movie, like because he's still a cop.
It's his inner cop going out, calling them scumbags. He doesn't approve of any of the murderings except for the ones that he did.
Yeah. Only his own, because he shot up a bunch of people in this. Didn't he? This guy
loved shooting people.
He had to.
He never used a service weapon before today, Drew.
That's true. This was the only time.
They didn't say it, but I assume that's what he would say.
This guy was. I mean, this guy was a douche. He was a big asshole.
Yeah, and you know what? He also like total cop move. He loved to raise his voice to like try to gain control of the situation. Like he had a big, a big butting of heads between him and Quaylen. He hated not being in control. He wanted to be the boss of this operation.
Well, he had his Nintendo Virtual Boy that he was carrying around the whole time. I mean, he's got this thing. I have questions about that, Colin will get to that later. Yeah. But this guy, I mean, how he survived the plane crash is beyond me. How anybody survived the plane crash is beyond me because, to fast forward, we'll get through this in a second. They basically try to get this thing. As he shoots them up, one of the other agents is still alive and does an awesome thing, which doesn't happen in movies. He gets a gun and shoots out at the other plane. He shoots out the fuel tank. He shoots out the stabilization fluid. I mean, that guy did some damage before that plane went down. Oh yeah, and he did some good work there.
He almost saved the day. He almost did for sure.
But the plane goes down and they do an emergency landing and they cover their heads, so it's okay. They're not going to die because they put their hands on their head.
Sure, I mean, they teach you that before the plane takes off. Every plane you ever go on.
They crash in the woods and their cases are scattered all over the place and they've got tracking in them. And this guy, like I said, he has the Nintendo Virtual Boy and he's got this thing. Does it not look like one?
It totally does. I didn't think about it, and then you said it, and it's totally.
But you could never see the damn screen in that thing. Yeah. It's so dark.
I never owned one, but I definitely tried it at the electronics boutique.
I played one. Think about it. Think about that thing, right? Yeah. It didn't have a head strap. No, it had a stand.
It had to lean into it.
So how do you put it on a table that you line up perfectly with?
Yes.
So that you when I played it at a friend's house. It was on the floor.
Wait, so you had a friend that actually owned it?
I had a friend that had one.
Wow.
He bought it from Blockbuster. When they used to sell the systems?
Oh, yeah. Sure.
And I think he had one game. It was Mario Tennis or Wario Tennis. That was it.
I think that's the only game that ever existed. That's the game I played at Electronics Boutique.
It was, not only is it just red and black, you get like a tension headache just from staring at that thing.
There's no way you could play that for more than 15 minutes at a time.
But it wasn't. Did you put it on the table? Is that what you did? How do you sit with it?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I was standing because it was at the video game store, and I assumed if I owned this is what I would do. I would just stand when I play. I don't know.
You need a boom arm for it, like our microphone. Just put it on your eyes. It's before the head strap exists. But anyway, this guy, this whole plan is so convoluted and just dumb. But now they got to find these cases. And the whole fetching of the cases, this whole situation to me, they need Stallone and Rooker, so they fake this distress call.
Great call.
I don't even know why, because they wanted a helicopter. But because the weather was so bad, they couldn't send a helicopter, so they just send out Rooker, and he's basically just climbing free solo there.
Yeah.
And he goes to show up, which, by the way, I also have questions about, because I doubt that they would send one single climber in the middle of a storm to rescue a group of hikers.
Yeah. So for 8 months, Stallone leaves the crew, and they just don't hire a new guy.
That's what I mean. He's Rooker's going solo. Yeah. So, they need Rooker and him to find these cases. Did they really need him? I mean, they had the tracker.
I think they did, man.
They couldn't just climb themselves?
No, because look at John Lithgow, Drew. Just look at him.
He had the down coat. I mean, did he really need the coat?
And plus, like, they're so heavily armed, Drew. Like, how are they going to climb with, all these guns around, man?
That guy did have a noob tube.
Yeah, he had a noob
that's
tube,
heavy.
man. And used it. No,
he
but
did use it.
that first case, which was like, I don't know, it was up Stallone. It was an easy climb for him. It was maybe, I don't know, 20, 30 feet at most.
They made him do it with like no rope, right? Like it didn't look higher than that, 30 feet.
Yeah, man. So I love that they tied a rope to him, and then they took his jacket, and they're like, "No, you can't go far without your jacket." But really, all that was a means to get Stallone to show his jacked freaking arms.
Yeah, that's all it was. But but that case is like what, like 300 pounds.
I don't know how much money weighs, but yeah, probably at least 100.
It was
the case itself empty was probably crazy.
$100 million, 3 cases, divide that up. Like, but, I don't know.
Yeah, but you definitely won. Yeah, you definitely need an experienced climber to get those kind of cases. But they could have gone about policing those climbers a lot better than they did.
I mean, this
like
whole
Rooker. I'm sorry, go ahead.
This whole thing was just like, it just seems so far fetched to me to try to find these cases. Like, at what point do you just give up and get out of there?
So you know what? It didn't work. Sorry, guys.
It's $100 million. We'll go do another heist. Like, they weren't made in this whole thing. I don't know. There
is no other heist for Travers, though. I mean, Quaylen would definitely get another heist. That's what he does.
What they should have done right away was kill Travers. I know he said he had the codes to the virtual boys, so he couldn't do it.
Yeah.
They didn't want to kill him. But, I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm not liking this plan.
They could have killed Travers right away and just had Stallone there. Throw Rooker off the mountain, too. Just have Stallone. And say, all right, we have no tracking. There's $100 million on this mountain, split up 3 ways. Find us those cases. Yeah. You have 48 hours or you're dead.
That's what I mean. Why did they have to all go? It's like they had a parade of people on this like sheer cliff. Yeah. Like, get the hell out of here. And if you're smart, wouldn't you have sent up Rooker first? Because he's clearly the one that you want to kill first. You're going to need Stallone more later. And if they had done that, Stallone would have been sneaking around trying to pick them off one by one.
He was definitely doing like I was thinking about like Predator. Yeah. Stallone was like Predator on a mountain,
exactly,
picking these guys off, and like Rooker couldn't have done that. You're right.
They should have sent Rooker up first.
They should have sized the 2 guys up. So this guy has big arms. Maybe we shouldn't let him off by on his own.
Unless they wanted to kill the tougher guy first because they thought this guy's probably more of a threat.
Well, then they should. It's like they talk too much too. They said they were going to kill him in front of Rooker, and Rooker's like, "Hey, they're going to kill you! Don't come down!" And Rooker knows he's safe because they can't kill him because
that's true.
If Stallone either A, gets away or B, dies, then either way they're going to need Rooker.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, I think we need to talk about Quaylen and his crew. Let's jump to Lithgow because the cases. I mean, obviously it's part of this, but it's part of the plan. So John Lithgow is a former British military intelligence officer. The character is named Eric Quaylen. I don't know much about this guy. They talk a little bit about his previous crimes.
There's some lore to him spit throughout the movie that I kind of like glazed over.
He had been involved in other high crimes, I guess. But I found an interesting piece of trivia about this, that Christopher Walken was originally cast in this role, and he left production before filming began. So they cast John Lithgow as last-minute replacement, which you could tell he was, because in my whole opinion, I think we'll tackle it in the villain scale, he just did not have the look or the style for this type of role.
No. Yeah, Christopher Walken would have been great. Like, he's used to playing a villain. Lithgow, I thought, was just awkward, and it reminded me a lot of the bad guy from Under Siege 2.
Yes.
Where it's like, he's the brains of the operation, but is he though? Because it was such a bad plan. And
it was a really bad plan.
And he didn't instill fear in me, even though he was murderous.
He was
like,
more
I didn't take him seriously. He's like the king of white collar crime. And maybe it was his just tremendous bald head, his 8 head, if you will.
He should have left the mask on the whole time. He would have looked tougher, I feel,
Yeah.
Let's put him through the scale, because we'll talk about the henchmen and some of the other crew through this. And I think with the villain scale, if you're new to the show, we have 4 categories. We take each villain through it. We do their look and their style, hideout and lair, plan, and then their henchmen. And we give them 1 to 5. And previously we've been kind of giving individual scores. I think what if we try something different this time? Let's try to agree on a score, and then we don't have two random scores.
It's fair.
And what we're going to do is I'm going to do this. I promise to the listeners. We're going to put all the previous villains on our website. I started the spreadsheet already. I'm putting all the previous scores. And then maybe one day someone also wrote into us about maybe doing maybe an overall villain episode where we re-rank some of the old ones.
Sure.
So we need to know where some
all
of these
for
guys rank. We can't do it today, but I'm in the process, and I know you were helping me too, pull some of the scores together, and we'll have them on the website. But start with this guy, right? His look and his style. I mean, what do you think of his look?
You know, do you think you could beat up John Lithgow?
Yes.
And you're not a fighter.
You
I know
who
that.
could beat him up? Frank.
I'm not a fighter either.
Frank could have beat him up,
Yeah.
I think, personally, if he didn't have a gun.
Take the gun away, and then old man Frank probably could give him a run for his money.
Exactly.
Drew, I don't know. He had the hairstyle. I'll give him that of a villain. I'll give him that. It was very bald, like forehead for days.
Yeah.
Other than that, he had the cool gas mask, but nothing about his clothes screamed anything about villainous.
He had guns, I guess. That was cool, but so did all the other guys.
Yeah, you know what? Did he? Yeah, well, he shot the one girl. Yeah.
He did.
He did shoot.
Pretty
He did-
ruthlessly.
Okay, so he did kill at least one person.
He killed a bunch of people.
How many people did he kill? Killed the girl?
He didn't kill Frank. The other guy did, but I got the impression he killed the girl. Well, maybe he didn't actually. His body count maybe wasn't so high.
I don't think he killed more than one person.
He did try to chop them up with the helicopter blades, which was kind of cool.
Maybe
that was kind of cool.
Yeah. I don't know.
He was blade
killed.
chasing.
No, I'm checking it out on it's alloutofbubblegum.com. Shout out, where they break down some of these deaths adjacent to moviebodycount.com,
Man.
and it confirms one kill.
I did check NBC and it wasn't on there.
That's how I found All Out of Bubblegum, which
All
is just I recommend you check it out.
And the villains wiki too. He's got a pretty weak score on there, in my opinion.
So yeah, one kill. So yeah.
We gotta go one here, right?
Yeah, one. I was gonna maybe generously give him a 2 for the bald head and the 5 head, but no, let's give him a 1.
We gotta go 1. He didn't even have cool outfits.
No.
And where did he get the parka from? Did they know they were gonna crash in Colorado? He had all these like winter clothes.
Well, I guess you could file it under plan. I mean, if he was prepared, then that's score for the plan.
There you go.
But that's not necessarily look style. If he planned to have cool outfits, then we can put it in look style.
Oh, he's definitely got a 1. His style sucks.
Yeah.
But what about his hideout in his lair? So he doesn't really have a hideout, but he did have a sweet plane, and it was like a private jet.
Yeah, so that counts. He's probably used it in previous heists, or do you think all of his heists are wildly convoluted?
No, because he probably would have died on them, but maybe they were. Maybe he gets a thrill of he's almost going to get caught.
Shoot, this guy should be in Fast and the Furious, right?
He should. He should.
One of the good guys. He's
Eric
great
Whalen.
at these ridiculous, overly complicated heists.
100%.
Let's drive a car through a building.
Yeah. In Dubai.
Yeah, Dubai. That's a plan that he came up with.
Yeah. I don't know what to say. I maybe give him a 2 here because the plane's cool, but he doesn't have anything else.
But just because he has money doesn't mean that, he has a cool lair. You have to do something with the money, like M. Bison, for example.
Yeah.
Right?
You need Bisonopolis.
Yeah.
And Shadaloo.
Yeah.
I don't know. Are you good with the 2?
I'm thinking 1, just because just because you have a plane, the plane itself
Fair
is
enough.
The plane as an idea is cool, but it's still bare bones.
Fair enough. I'll go.
1.5?
I'm good with that.
One.
We can go 1. Let's go 1. We'll give him the lowest because we don't know what his other stuff is. We could speculate on it, but
he's looking pretty bad. And from memory, knowing that we were going to do a villain scale on this guy, I knew it was going to be low because freaking sucks.
He might be the lowest of all the low on our whole thing.
His henchmen are better than him, so we'll get to it.
They absolutely are.
We'll
I'm surprised they didn't take him over.
Yeah,
but the plan. So we already touched on his plan. We don't need to go through the whole thing. But he was trying to steal $100 million with the most convoluted air heist possible. I don't think this had, really a good chance of success, I guess.
No,
I don't know.
It's very risky. But I think that the plan to steal the $1,000 bills or whatever they were and convert them, I mean, that itself is a good plan.
Are we sure he could have done it, though?
Yeah, he knows a guy. He definitely knows a guy in Sweden or something, or who knows, Switzerland. I don't know. So the plan itself is good. Just he just get too flashy with the execution, right?
Yeah, I mean, maybe he wanted to be caught. Maybe he likes the thrill of it.
Maybe this is his 20th heist. And he wanted to ramp up his body count.
It's just, I don't know. I mean, did he also plan to kill other people in this too? Because we'll say it later, but at the end of the movie, I mean, everybody's dead.
Yeah.
I mean, I would have assumed he was going to kill Travers. He was probably going to kill maybe some of these other people, or was he going to plan to actually let them live? Like, was this his send off into the sunset plan?
Do you think that he has new henchmen for every
one
heist?
last job?
Every heist is new henchmen, and he just kills them all off, Joker style.
One last job, one last ride, just like Fast and the Furious. I don't know.
He had like a girlfriend that he like maybe was clearly didn't care about her. He killed her, but just to prove a point.
Yeah, I mean, maybe that makes his like other plan better. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm gonna give him a 3 for plan.
I'm okay with it,
but I'm gonna dock him a point because his plan B, when plan A went awry,
it was awful.
About having Stallone and Rooker go around the mountain, and he couldn't keep a leash on either one of them.
So bad. It really was so bad, and they almost let this old helicopter Frank guy get him too. Come on now.
I don't know where else to stick this, so I'm going to stick this here while we're on the subject.
Yeah,
the scene where Jesse, the pilot, flagged him down thinking it was Frank.
Yeah.
And then he held her at gunpoint in the air.
Yeah.
Is it me, or could she just have like ducked down and he never would have had a good shot?
He would have had a hard time shooting her anyway. He's trying to fly a helicopter.
He was pointing through the windshield. Like he wasn't going to shoot his own windshield. It's a safety hazard. She just let him kidnap her.
that gun was also like, he wasn't going to shoot that like feebly holding it out. That gun was going to fly out of his hand. If she would have moved laterally, that means he would have had to shoot her accurately sideways while flying a helicopter. Absolutely,
dumbest character in movie history for getting kidnapped by a helicopter pilot midair.
I mean, maybe we got to give this guy credit for that, I guess.
Yeah, that's pretty
intimidation
good.
factor.
That's pretty good.
The intimidation factor of that.
All right, all right, we'll give him a 2. I'm going to give him a 2.
You give him a 2.
How about a 2.5 because he kidnapped her?
Right.
He kidnapped her in midair. We'll give him an extra half point.
That's part of the plan.
He kidnapped someone while flying a helicopter.
Part of the plan. He's like 100 feet away too. He's so far away.
Oh God!
I didn't think about that while it happened. Oh man! All right. Well, all right. Last category: the henchman.
Yeah.
So I have a rundown of the henchman here.
Okay, good.
And maybe there's a question that you could ask whether Travers was actually the boss. I think this guy was. But if you want to count Travers as one of the henchmen, I don't.
Yeah.
But we'll put him here, and I'll also tell you how they died if you want. Right.
Great.
So you got
of course
Richard
I want.
Travers here, the Treasury officer. Yeah. He gets shot and killed, and he's in the ice underneath the water
to be preserved for future generations. Someone's going to find him 30 years from now, frozen, wondering what he did.
And this guy wasn't much of a henchman, in my opinion. But
he was a 1B, and like we've touched on this earlier. I hated that he thought whenever he thought he was losing control of the situation, he would just yell, and like flex his cop muscles, and nobody cared. Nobody cared. He yelled, and people laughed at him. It's like when you have to yell that you're in charge, you're not in charge.
Yeah, you're not in charge. That guy was weak as hell.
Yeah.
So then you got Crystal, who's the pilot of the jet, and she was shot on a sacrifice by Quaylen.
Yeah. So Quaylen was trying to gain the upper hand back from Travers. So he shot the only other living pilot. So if you're going to get off this mountain, then you can't kill me. It was actually pretty good insurance policy by Quaylen.
I'll tell you what, I saved this in a minute, but I'm just going to mention it now while we're talking about it. I think we might be missing a category here. I know we haven't added it, and we might need to go back and do this at some point. Yeah. But I think we don't account for the guy's ruthlessness, like the actual evil of the villain. You know what I mean?
Be a good category
because we have the plan, but like the plan, maybe we touch on the evilness of it, or whatever,
or psychosis, or something like that. Yeah,
we have to debate this one for a future
because
time.
He would gain points for ruthlessness. You're right,
right? Because he didn't care about who he killed. I mean, he killed his girlfriend straight up, right?
Maybe we can add him, and then we can retroactively add points to every villain we've done. Yeah, it won't be hard to do. I kind of like it. We'll discuss it, and then we'll make a final determination upon the next villain.
We'll have a ruling.
Yes. All
right. So then back to the other guys. You got Delmar, who's the British guy with a mullet.
Great mullet.
He got
soccer fan.
Yeah, which is a great scene. Yeah. He got shotgun to the gut and tossed off a mountain.
Yeah,
it's pretty good death.
Man, you know what movie trope I hate in these types of movies is when the guy goes. He goes to his henchman. He tells the henchman, "All right, kill this guy. Make it quiet." And the boss walks away, Or like
Yeah.
they make you like kill the guy around the corner so the guy escapes. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I hate that. And of course this happened. Rooker, he talked him into beating his ass and not shooting him just long enough to stab him in the leg and flip him over the mountain. It's a great death. Great death. This guy had some promise though, right?
He was the toughest of all of them.
He was the no-nonsense guy of everything, right?
I mean, he shot Frank. He's the guy that killed Frank, right?
He killed
just
Frank in
shot
cold
him.
blood. Poor Frank.
And he was like, I'm tired of this. Like, why'd you kill the innocent man? He's like, I'm done with this.
Frank was not qualified to be working on that mountain anymore,
No.
but I didn't want him dead, Drew.
Yeah. I mean, nobody wants
him dead.
a nice old man die
No.
in cold blood.
In cold blood.
This guy was the toughest of all of them, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
And then he had Heldon, who was the long blonde hair guy who's barely in the movie. He just falls off the cliff in an avalanche because the other guy, I think Ryan, was noob tubing the whole time.
you can't noob tube on a mountain. I know that, Drew.
He was noob tubing. It was like, you can't even yell in the mountains sometimes, right? Because don't they say that you're going to cause an avalanche?
Drew, if I were ever, I've never shot a gun in my life, Drew. But I would love to go to. Can you go to a range and fire off noob tubes? Because I would love it.
I don't think so.
I would love it, Drew.
I don't think so. And it makes that such a rewarding sound. Where it's like thunk,
Thunk.
But the best part was that gun was simultaneously noob tubing and shooting like regular rounds at the same time.
Usually, you have to switch the perk for Call of Duty for that.
He wasn't doing it. He was machine gunning and tubing at the same time.
Sounds OP to me. Sounds OP.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome.
Yeah.
But this guy just died in an avalanche. He's pretty weak. And then you had, I don't know how to pronounce the name, but Kinnett, played by Leon from Cool Runnings.
Also, Shep in Above the Rim for all of you basketball fans out there.
Clearly, between him and Delmar, you got a contest for toughest villain here.
Dude.
Both
first
tougher
of
than
all,
Quaylen.
Yeah. This guy was a silent assassin, for sure.
He was awesome.
Actually, he wasn't really silent. He had some cool one-liners.
Yeah.
No bullets, bitch.
It was awesome.
Yeah.
He had some grit to him too,
So
right?
this whole cave scene is very much ingrained in my mind. The scene or of Stallone just yelling at him, "If you want me, I'm in here." Like that is like all-time movie lines to me. It may not be to someone else.
It reminds me of the trailer, you know?
Yeah. I just love him shouting that. That's such a tough thing to say. Come meet me in the cave, bitch. And then he just starts karateing him. I didn't expect it. I didn't expect it.
He was a very unassuming henchman there, where he had some really tough moves, and the karate or martial arts or whatever he was doing.
He was giving him like roundhouses
was
and
doing
drop
roundhouses.
kicks. He was giving him drop
ridiculous.
kicks.
Stallone was getting his ass kicked.
Yeah, because Stallone, he's a jacked rock climber. He's not really a fighter.
He's like Darren McCord, he's like a firefighter from Sudden Death. Like he's
very much like Van Damme in Sudden Death. Yes,
he's just a regular blue collar worker here, just trying to rescue people off of a mountain.
Yeah,
it was crazy. That guy was awesome, and his death stabbed overhead like a Bane about to crush him on his knee, but stabbed to a stalactite.
So he went
stalactite?
Up. He went up. Stalactite or stalagmite?
Which one's mite or tight? I forgot.
I think tight is above, mite is below.
Mite's on the bottom?
Checking in with my 6th grade science teacher, and yes, tight. Tight is the high one.
And then you got Ryan, who was face skied or face snowboarded down a cliff by Stallone.
Great scene. And by the way,
blinded by night vision goggles too with a flare.
Man, poor guy.
Yeah,
he didn't deserve this.
His face, he didn't deserve that.
He was just there for a job, man. He didn't deserve to get blinded and then face skied.
He got hired on Fiverr there just to like doing a heist.
Let me check it. Let me check his body counts. Did he kill anyone actually in this movie? Because this guy didn't.
I guess he killed Heldon.
What's his name? Ryan.
Ryan. That's it.
He has no kills, Drew.
He killed Heldon. They didn't count it right. He killed because of the avalanche. He should have counted that.
He didn't kill him.
Friendly fire turned off on there, so they didn't count it. They had friendly fire turned off.
All right. Yeah. You're right.
I mean,
okay. Maybe he deserved it.
I don't know. I mean, I think the henchman here. We went on and on. We didn't really rate the number here. We're way off.
No, because we're gonna circle back to it. Yeah.
I say that he actually has a pretty good cast of characters here. If I'm looking at it, he's got a good pilot.
He's got a good team.
He's got some good killers.
Yeah.
Some that know karate. Some that know how to use guns. He's got a couple of useless guys.
They seem to respect him too.
Yeah, which is crazy because they could have easily killed him.
Yeah.
I think that we got to go higher on this. I got to go like a 4.
You first. Yeah.
I got to go like a 4.
I was honestly contemplating the 5 just
Maybe
because I was
we
impressed
could.
by all of them, even though they all died. It was all they were all out of their element.
I think if they didn't die, I'd give them a 5.
Yeah, they were all out of their element, but maybe 4.5.
I mean, unless we need to dock points because they got killed by like a mountain rescue worker.
Well, a lot of henchmen die in movies, Drew. They all die.
That's true. That's true.
Which henchmen live unless they cowardly run away?
Well, you're right. I think we need to go 4. I think we got to go 4 here.
Yeah. All right. We'll take a 4.
If we add this up, we'll go recap here. Look and style for Quaylen was a 1. His hideout was a 1. So we give him a 2. So that's a total of 2 so far. Then his plan was a 2.5. So that's 4.5. And then you go henchman and it's a 4. So it's an 8.5, which I think puts this guy pretty low.
It's pretty low. Most guys get double digits.
I mean, it makes sense. The guy's pretty weak.
Lucky he had henchmen, Drew. He's lucky.
It is what it is. He's not very good, and I'd like to see where he ranks on the overall rankings here.
He's not very good, is he?
Yeah, he's not
very good. Hey, before we head off on villains and all that, I did have one final piece of trivia on that regard. You know the scene where the surfer dudes get shot down by Kinnett, which was also felt terrible for those guys. Those guys were just
the ruthlessness, man.
Those guys were just stoned and base jumping, man. They didn't know who was bad, who was good. They just thought they were tourists. They weren't going to rat anybody out.
They were just hanging out in their tent,
information.
Man.
Their information to the police would not have been credible because they were high at the time. They get shot at. So the one dude's dead, right? He gets shot in the back. The second dude seemingly gets away and base jumps off the cliff, right? But there was a deleted scene that this, along with a few other scenes extended, made the movie NC-17. They had to scale back to R. Yeah. So in the scene, he base jumps. He's flying away in his little parachute, and the guy shoots him down in midair.
So that he didn't actually escape.
So he gets hung up and he's dead in the tree rather than alive in the tree. Where Frank finds him. But for some reason, they decided to remove that. I guess, when you move a movie back from NC-17 to R, you kind of have to like pick and choose different scenes to like try to whittle it down to the least amount of violence possible to get you at R. So that was that. And I thought that was kind of a strange omission, but that's a scene that didn't make a ton of sense in the movie, and that's why.
Outside of the profanity, this movie today would be rated PG-13.
Yeah.
It wouldn't even blink an R, I feel. But the other thing I saw on IMDb was that there was a couple deleted scenes on the Laserdisc. So was that one of the Laserdisc?
Could have been.
Do you remember that from school where they bust out like the TV on the big tray thing?
Yeah, I was so fascinated. Like, who has this in their house?
It's like ridiculous.
I was always wondered who has.
They were like the size of like vinyl records.
Yeah,
it was ridiculous. I don't know how to wrap this up because, to be completely honest, this has a super anticlimactic ending.
Yeah, what if we just stopped?
We just end like the movie did.
Like the movie did.
Okay, see you next week. LastRowPodcast.com. Just kidding. But no, for real, like basically everybody dies.
Yeah.
They get the cases. I mean, there's only one case left because Stallone destroys the first one. And then the second one, I think he lights all that on fire too.
So he could warm him and Jesse at night. Yeah.
He didn't really have anything left. So honestly, everybody died. The only thing I would say is it was like the FBI agents that we didn't really talk about. They were completely useless. I mean, they were looking for them the whole movie, and that's it.
They could have shortened the movie by like 5 to 7 minutes and just deleted all of those scenes.
It wasn't needed.
Yeah.
Or add another 5 minutes at the end and show them actually interacting at the end.
Yeah.
Like I don't know.
Yeah.
I just don't feel that the ending was done right.
Yeah. So they're sitting there on the mountain at the end of the movie, and like they call in the helicopter and say, "Hey, we're over here," and like almost mid sentence, the credits roll.
That's it.
Like, just give me the scene where they're in the chopper and we know they're safe. Like, and that's a better. It's like they cut too soon.
Or even what happens? Like, did they give them a medal?
It's not that it matters, but it was jarringly odd.
What do you think happened after this movie? What do you think went back? Did Stallone's character go back to rescuing people, or did he
I believe
move anyway?
reconciliation. I think they got through a lot. They maybe there's one hard conversation that they all have to have together. But ultimately, good things.
Unless Rooker leaves because he can't deal with Frank's death, and that's it. Now Rooker leaves for 8 months and he comes back. And
Frank. Yeah, he's gonna miss Frank's jokes and his.
They're gonna have to reload the crew.
His monkey banana painting.
I mean,
at the station.
I don't know. It's just pretty much that's it.
So that's it for us, right?
what do you think? One last question here. would this movie have been different? So you talk about 1993. This is at the height of Van Damme, Seagal, Schwarzenegger, like all the action stars, the action Mount Rushmore. Would this movie have been different if you had a Van Damme, a Seagal, or a Schwarzenegger? And could either one of them done a better job than Stallone? Who would you have picked? You could pick one of those guys. Who would you recast?
I think it's obviously Schwarzenegger. It probably would have been a better movie with Arnold.
But can he climb? Can he? He's too bulky. Like, can he climb?
Dude, he's Austrian, of course. He can climb mountains, Drew.
But like he's too bulky to climb.
Is he though? Like Stallone was so jacked.
Yeah, but I mean, it's just another level. Like Schwarzenegger in '93. Like he couldn't even wear a suit. That's how jacked he was. It was ridiculous.
I don't know, man. Stallone was trying to catch him around this time, illegally or illegally.
I would have liked Van Damme there. I would have liked to watch.
I don't think Van Damme's going anywhere near a mountain.
You think you're not going to do it?
No,
he's too busy at the hockey rinks.
No, he's too much of a diva. Not going to do it. Seagal, too fat. Not going to do it. Can't do it. Seagal, it's unknown if he even knows martial arts.
I thought he knew him, and that was the whole thing.
It's still a question. Yeah, he'll lead you to believe it.
Well,
it's still a question.
Quick hands, man. Quick hands.
And a lot of his stunt doubles are so visible.
Yeah.
In scenes that aren't so hard. So could you see him on a mountain? Really?
I'll say this. This movie proves to me that I need to go back and watch a bunch of the Stallone movies that I missed. Things that I haven't watched, because he was really good in this. And I got to say, this movie overall, I haven't seen this movie in a long time.
So
it's on Amazon Prime right now. If you have it, go check it out. It's actually very entertaining. It's a really well done movie.
So I'll tell you and the people. So if you like Cliffhanger, and we did Demolition Man, obviously great movie. If you want to see some good Stallone, man, Cobra.
I still haven't seen that.
Over the Top's not that great a movie, but still fun.
Yeah.
Tango and Cash, watch it. Lock Up, watch it. Get in there. Copland, watch it. Assassins, Antonio Banderas, watch it. It's good stuff, man. Daylight, watch it. The guy's got hits.
If you guys like Stallone movies and you want us to do more, write in, let us know. TheLastRowPodcast@gmail.com. Visit our website. There's a contact form there, TheLastRowPodcast.com. Tweet us, like we said in the beginning, at TheLastRowPod. Facebook.com. Leave a comment on this Facebook link.
Just let us know you're there.
Facebook.com/TheLastRowPod. Instagram, send us a note on there, right on the episode post for that. Let us know if you want us to do more Stallone movies. And leave us an Apple Podcast review if you're enjoying the show, or Podchaser. And we'll be back in 2 weeks on June 3rd with another episode for you guys. And that'll about do it for us. Just don't let me go when I'm hanging that way. Don't let me go. All right?
Just like when you're hanging, it's a see ya!
See ya!
Drew, I would never drop. If you dropped, I would follow.
But what if I had a glove on? Do you think it's hard to hold somebody with a glove? Like, I know that they have gloves for grip, but sometimes I need the chalk on
the hand-to-hand is easier. Like trapeze artists wear chalk; they don't use gloves because the skin-on-skin thing, the glove could slip. Because just like what happened.
Is another skin that's gonna slip off.
This girl